Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Chess Beauty 98. So let's get right to it. This is a study by Carlsson from 1976. I do not have any information about this composer, so my apologies for that. The stipulation here is white to win, and I'll give you a chance to work it out before continuing with the solution. So, looking at this, one first might imagine that white is easily winning. After all, he's got two extra pawns, and they're quite advanced. However, the presence of the opposite colored bishops indicates that black may have some drawing chances here. And even two pawns up, sometimes opposite colored bishops can be a draw. White has another problem too, that his pawns are a little on the vulnerable side. For instance, if you play c5 here, the king can just take on b5, so can't make much progress that way. Before we get into the actual solution, let's look at just a typical line of play that you might or I might play if you had this position in a game. So king to d4, trying to penetrate with the king, seems logical, but black has a good counter. His idea is that he can perhaps sacrifice the bishop on b5 and win two pawns, and maybe that third pawn as well. So there's not much that white can do to stop this plan, as you'll see in this line. So bishop to d7 with the threat, and now white doesn't have a lot of moves. This is a good try. Bishop to c5 check. Bishop takes h7, and white is going to be celebrating prematurely here because bishop takes b5, c takes b5, king takes b5 is a draw. It's just a book draw because that pawn will be captured next move. There's nothing that white can do to stop that, mainly because his bishop is occupying the square that the pawn would like to go to. So a very nice line, actually, but it indicates the problem with the normal lines of play that you might imagine. Let's go back to the starting position. The actual solution is bishop to e7. And we'll see why in a minute. Black doesn't have a lot of options here, so he opts for the plan that we just talked about, trying to sacrifice the bishop on b5. Let's look at a couple of lines first. If he tries king to a5, king to d4, bishop to d7 with the sacrificial idea, king to c5, bishop to e6, bishop to d6, king to a4, bishop to b8, king to b3, bishop takes a7, bishop takes c4, bishop to b8, bishop to f1, king to b6, king to a4, a7, bishop to g2, king to a6, and black is going to have to give up the bishop for one pawn, and then white is winning easily with the other pawn, which is still protected by the king. Okay, so let's go back to another line. So after bishop to e7, instead of king to a5, he can also try king to c7. And this has the idea of trying to put his king in the corner and control the queening square, or perhaps stalemate himself. But this doesn't work either, due to bishop to d6, a very nice sacrifice. King takes d6, b6. This is similar to the breakthrough problems where white sacrifices a pawn so that the other pawn can slip by. But of course black's not falling for that, so he plays bishop to h3 with the idea of controlling the diagonal. c5 check, king to d7, and now this very clever move, c6. White is threatening to queen some pawns here, so he has to take, but unfortunately now he's blocking the diagonal for his own bishop. Very clever line there as well. Very nice. So let's go back after bishop e7. Now the solution, the main line runs bishop to d7. This is theoretically the best line of play for black. And now bishop to d8 check, king to c5, b6, and this seems to be sending the pawn to its death. A takes b6, a7, and Black might be wondering, what is white up to here? Because we can just simply play bishop c6 and we're controlling the diagonal. However, because of these sacrifices, the king has found himself on an inopportune square. That square leads to checkmate after bishop to e7. And that's the end. So what looked to be a study about queening a pawn and maybe a breakthrough ideas actually was a mating idea. So once again, showing the beauty and the subtlety of endgame plays and endgame studies. Well, that's it for this one. Join me soon for Chess Beauty 99. Thank you for watching.